The galaxy needed saving. The most dangerous humans arrived. Part 1. The desperate call. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was silent. 12 alien species sat around a massive table made of crystal. Their faces showed fear. Their eyes showed defeat. High Counselor Telax stood at the center. He was old, even for his kind. His blue skin had turned pale with worry. His 4 eyes looked at each member of the council, one by one. 17 star systems, he said. His voice was tired. 17 systems, gone in 3 cycles. Billions of lives ended. And we cannot stop them. No one spoke. They all knew what he was talking about. The Vorn Collective. The Vorn were not like other enemies. They were a hive mind. Millions of creatures sharing one brain, one thought, one purpose. They did not want land. They did not want power. They wanted to consume everything. Everyone thought their ships were alive. They ate metal and rock and flesh. They grew bigger with every world they destroyed. Their warriors could heal from any wound. Cut off an arm, it grew back. Burn them, they rebuilt themselves. Shoot them, they adapted. Every fleet the council sent had failed. Every weapon had been useless. The Vorn learned too fast. They changed too quickly. Admiral Vithrus of the Tolan hegemony slammed his fist on the table. We need more ships. More soldiers. We must fight harder. We have no more ships, said Minister Kell of the Rithani. We have no more soldiers. We have sent everything. It was not enough. The room fell silent again. Then, High Counselor Telax spoke words that changed everything. There is one species we have not asked for. Help. The council members looked at him with confusion. Every species in the galaxy was part of the council. Every species had sent forces against the Vorn. The humans, Telax said. The reaction was immediate. Gasps, whispers. Some council members stood up in shock. Others shook their heads in disbelief. The humans are quarantined, shouted Ambassador Iro of the Kishari. They have been isolated for 300 years. There is a reason for this. I know the reason, Telax said calmly. I was there when we made that decision. He walked to a screen on the wall. With a wave of his hand, he showed images. Old images. Images from when the galaxy first discovered humanity. They come from a death world, Telax said. Their planet is covered in poison. The air is full of dangerous gases. The water is filled with acid. The land has creatures that can kill in seconds. And yet, the humans survived. They thrived. The images showed Earth, volcanoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, predators with sharp teeth. Tiny creatures that spread disease. Plants that killed anything that touched them. They did not just survive, Telax continued. They conquered their world. They killed most of the dangerous creatures. They changed the land. They split atoms before they could travel between stars. Do you understand what that means? They made weapons that could destroy cities before they even left their planet. The council members watched in horror. They wage war for entertainment, Telax said. They have fought each other for thousands of years. They have developed ways to kill that we cannot imagine. And when they ran out of enemies on their world, they looked to the stars. He turned off the screen. We quarantined them because we were afraid. We told ourselves it was to protect the galaxy. But the truth is simple. We were scared of what humans could do if we let them loose. Admiral Vithrus spoke slowly. And now you want to let them loose? Telax nodded. The Vorn have given us no choice. We need warriors who do not fight fair. We need creatures who can think in ways the Vorn cannot predict. We need monsters to fight monsters. The vote took 3 hours. Many council members refused. They said it was too dangerous. They said the humans were worse than the Vorn. They said the cure would be worse than the disease. But in the end, fear won. Fear of extinction. Fear of being consumed. Fear of watching everything they loved disappear into the endless hunger of the Vorn. The message was sent to Earth's colony on Titan. We need your most dangerous warriors on Earth. The United Defense Council received the message. General Kim Dae-ho read it 3 times. Then he laughed. They want our most dangerous? He said to his advisors. Not our best? His advisors nodded. General Kim thought for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a nice smile. I know exactly who to send. The file appeared on his screen. 5 names. 5 faces. 5 soldiers who had been locked away, discharged, or forgotten. Not because they were weak, because they were too dangerous to keep. Captain Yuna Park, Black Ops Commander, discharged for refusing to follow orders. Her record showed 17 successful missions and 3 courts-martial. She won every fight and broke every rule. Sergeant Taein Lee, combat engineer, loved explosions too much. His last mission had destroyed an entire enemy base. Also 2 friendly bases nearby. By accident, he claimed Dr. Ji Woo-han, field medic and scientist. Gentle and kind. Until someone hurt her patience. Then she became something else entirely. Her medical reports contained strange notes about creative solutions to enemy problems. Private Minho Kang, young, brilliant, a hacker who could break any system. He talked too much and respected nothing. He had been arrested 6 times for crimes that technically did not exist yet. Warrant: Officer Sujin Choi, heavy weapons expert. She did not talk much. She did not need to. Her weapons spoke for her, loudly. General Kim sent the orders. The 5 soldiers were brought to a secret facility. They were given 1 ship, old and beaten. They were given weapons, barely enough. They were given a mission no one expected them to survive. Captain Park looked at her team. Criminals, misfits, broken soldiers. The worst humanity had to offer. She smiled. The galaxy needs saving, she said. Let us show them how humans do it. The ship launched into the dark of space. Its name was painted on the side in bright red letters. The Reckless Endeavor. The most dangerous humans had arrived. The galaxy needed saving. The most dangerous humans arrived. Part 2. First contact with horror. Reckless Endeavor dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Station Prime. Captain Yuna Park stood at the window and looked at the massive structure floating in space. It was beautiful. Towers of crystal and metal stretched in every direction. Ships from 100 different species flew around it like insects around a flower. Pretty, said Ninho from his seat at the computers. Think they will like us? No, said Sujin. She was cleaning her rifle. She always cleaned her rifle. The ship docked at Station Prime. A group of aliens waited for them at the entrance. They were tall and thin with blue skin and 4 eyes. Rithani, Park remembered from her briefing. The leader stepped forward. I am High Counselor Tilax. Welcome to Station Prime. We are grateful for your assistance. He did not sound grateful. He sounded scared. Park noticed how the aliens watched her team. They kept their distance. They flinched when Taeim moved too quickly. They stared at their teeth when they smiled. Humans smile with teeth, Park remembered. Most species saw that as a threat. A warning. An attack. She smiled wider. Take us to your briefing room, she said. We want to know everything about the enemy. The briefing room was large and cold. Screens covered every wall. The 5 humans sat on one side of a long table. Dozens of alien commanders sat on the other side. Tilax stood at the front. He waved his hand, and the screens came alive with images. Park had seen war. She had seen death. She had seen horrible things in her years of service. She had never seen anything like the Vorn. The creatures on the screen were nightmares made real. Their bodies were a mix of metal and flesh. They had too many arms, too many eyes, too many teeth. They moved in waves, thousands of them at once, all thinking the same thought, all moving with the same purpose. Their ships were worse. Massive things that looked like they were alive. Because they were alive. They ate asteroids and grew larger. They consumed enemy ships and turned them into more Vorn. The collective has existed for 10,000 years, Tlax explained. They move from galaxy to galaxy, consuming everything. They adapt to any weapon within hours. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be stopped. The screens show battle footage. Allied ships firing everything they had at the Vorn. The Vorn taking the damage and healing. Then the Vorn firing back, destroying the Allied ships in seconds. Our best fleets have been destroyed, Tlax continued. Our finest warriors have fallen. We've tried every weapon, every strategy, every trick we know. Nothing works. The room was silent. Park raised her hand. Where did they sleep? The aliens looked confused. What? Asked Admiral Vithris. Sleep, Park repeated. Rest. Recover. The Vorn must do it somewhere. Where? The aliens looked at each other. None of them had an answer. We do not know, Tlax admitted. No one has ever gotten close enough to find out. Park nodded slowly. A small smile crossed her face. Then that is where we start. The team was assigned to the front lines at the Kesher system. The last Allied fleet was making a desperate stand there. 300 ships against the Vorn armada of 2,000. The reckless endeavor arrived just as the battle began. Park watched from the bridge as the Vorn attacked. Their ships moved like a swarm of insects, surrounding the Allied fleet, biting at it from every direction. Allied ships exploded. Escape pods were consumed. Screams filled the communication channels. Captain, said Mingho, the Allied commander is ordering us to reinforce defensive position 7. Park shook her head. No, Captain. Find me a shuttle. A small one. Something fast. Minho looked at her like she was crazy. What are you planning? Park pointed at the largest Vorn ship on the screen. It was massive, bigger than a city. The mothership. We are going in there. The team stole a shuttle. It was not hard. Everyone was too busy dying to notice 5 humans taking a small ship. Taehyun flew them toward the Vorn mothership. The creature did not attack them. It was too focused on the battle. Small things were beneath its notice. That was a mistake. They landed inside the mothership through a wound in its side, a hole made by Allied weapons. The interior was unlike anything Park had ever seen. The walls were flesh. The floor was muscle. The air smelled like blood and rot. Everything was alive and moving. Stay close, Park ordered. Jiwo, record everything. Minho, look for anything like a computer. Tan, if we need to blow our way out, V, ready. Always ready, Taehyun said with a grin. They moved through corridors of living tissue. Strange liquids dripped from the ceiling. Sounds echoed around them, clicks and screams, and something that might have been breathing. Then they found it dotted the center of the ship. There was a chamber. Inside the chamber was a massive brain. It floated in liquid, connected to thousands of tubes and wires. It pulsed with light. The neural hub, Jiwoo whispered. This is how they coordinate. This is how millions of Vorn think as one. Can we destroy it? Park asked. Maybe, but there must be more of these. One for each ship, probably. And a main one somewhere else. Destroy that, and the whole collective falls apart. Park smiled. Now we are getting somewhere. The alarm started suddenly. Screams echoed through the ship. The walls began to move. They know we are here. Minho said. Run, Park ordered. They ran. Behind them, Vaughn warriors poured from the walls. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. All of them chasing 5 small humans through their living ship. Taeyeon threw grenades behind them as they ran. Explosions tore through flesh and metal. Sujin fired her rifle without stopping, dropping enemies with every shot. They reached the shuttle. Jiwoo was hit by something, a spike of bone that cut through her shoulder. Minho dragged her inside. Sujin held the door, firing until her rifle was empty. Taeyeon started the shuttle. The Vorn were climbing on it, trying to tear it apart. Hold on, he shouted. He flew the shuttle straight through the wall of the mothership. The flesh tore. The shuttle burst into space, trailing blood and fire. Behind them, the Vorn screamed in anger. But they did not follow. The battle was still happening. They had bigger things to worry about. On the shuttle, Jiwoo held her wounded shoulder and laughed. We did it, she said. We got the data. Park looked at her team, wounded, exhausted, covered in alien blood, but alive. This is just the beginning, she said. Now we know how to hurt them. Now we teach the galaxy. The shuttle flew back toward Allied space, carrying information that would change the war forever. The galaxy needed saving. The most dangerous humans arrived. Part 3. The human way of war. The Galactic Council stared at the data on their screens. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then everyone spoke at once. This is incredible. A central weakness. We can win. Captain Park stood at the front of the room, her arms crossed. She let them celebrate for a few seconds. Then she raised her hand. The main neural hub is in the Vorn home system, she said. It controls all the others. Destroy it, and the collective dies. Admiral Vithras leaned forward eagerly. Then we attack at once. We gather every ship and strike at their heart. Their home system is protected by 10,000 ships, Park said calmly. You have 300 left. You would not even get close. The celebration died. The room became quiet again. Then what do you suggest? Asked T-Lax. Park smiled. It was a dangerous smile. We do not fight like you. We do not line up our ships and charge at the enemy. That is stupid. That is how Prey thinks. Several admirals looked offended. Park did not care. Humans learned to fight against creatures bigger than us, faster than us, stronger than us. We won because we did not fight fair. We hid. We tricked. We attacked from shadows and ran before the enemy could respond. We made them afraid of the dark. She pointed at the map on the screen. We will do the same to the Vorn. Hit them where they do not expect. Destroy their supply lines. Confuse their communications. Make them chase ghosts while we slip a knife into their back. The aliens looked at each other with uncertainty. This is not honorable, said a Tolan commander. This is not how war should be fought. Park laughed. Honor is for people who can afford to lose. Can you afford to lose? No one answered. That is what I thought. The training began the next day. It was a disaster. Park tried to teach Allied soldiers how to hide. They did not understand. Their species had never been hunted. They did not know how to be quiet, how to be patient, how to wait for the perfect moment. Taeyeon tried to teach engineers how to build traps. They were confused. Why would anyone hide a weapon? Why not just shoot the enemy? Minho tried to teach hackers how to spread lies. They were horrified. Deception was shameful to their cultures. It was wrong, but slowly, things changed. A few soldiers began to learn. A few engineers began to understand. A few hackers began to see the possibilities. The first real mission came 3 weeks later. Taeyeon led a small team to an asteroid field. The Vorn used this route to send supplies to their frontline ships. Tane spent 4 days planting mines on rocks throughout the field. Thousands of tiny bombs, hidden and waiting. Then he waited. The Vorn convoy arrived. 12 supply ships, each one massive and alive. They flew into the asteroid field without worry. They had traveled this route many times before. Taehyung pressed the button. The asteroid field exploded. Rocks flew in every direction, smashing into the supply ships. Mines detonated against soft flesh. In 30 seconds, the entire convoy was destroyed. The Vorn had lost more supplies in 30 seconds than they had lost in the entire war. Minho's turn came next. He had been studying Vorn communications for weeks. Their hive mind used a special frequency to coordinate. It was complex, but not unbreakable. He built a device that could broadcast on that frequency. Then he sent a message. Attack Fleet 7. They are traitors to the collective. The Vorn could not understand lies. They had never encountered them. Their hive mind trusted itself completely. When the order came, 2 Vorn fleets turned on each other and fought for 6 hours. Before they realized the mistake, Jiwoo created a different kind of weapon. She had been studying Vorn biology, looking for weaknesses. She found one. The Vorn could heal from any wound, but they could not ignore discomfort. She created a chemical that did not hurt them, did not kill them, just made them itch, constantly, everywhere. When the chemical was released on a Vorn battlefield, the warriors went crazy. They scratched at themselves instead of fighting. They rolled on the ground. They ignored their enemies completely. It was not deadly, but it was effective. Sujin's contribution was simpler. She trained allied soldiers to be snipers, to wait, to watch, to take one perfect shot instead of 100 bad ones. Her students were slow at first. Patience was hard for them. But Sujin was a good teacher. She never raised her voice. She never got angry. She just waited until they understood. By the end of the month, she had created a sniper course that could hit a target from 10 kilometers away. The Vorn began to change. They had never faced an enemy like this. An enemy that did not fight in straight lines. An enemy that attacked from nowhere and disappeared before they could respond. An enemy that lied. For the first time in their existence, the Vorn felt something new. Fear. But the collective adapted. It always adapted. The Vorn began hunting the humans specifically. They sent special units designed to track and kill. Fast creatures with sharp senses and sharper claws. The reckless endeavor was ambushed twice. The first time, they escaped by flying into a nebula and hiding for 3 days. The second time, they had to fight. It was a close battle. Minho lost his arm to a Vorn blade. Taehyung took a wound that nearly killed him. Even Sujin was hurt, though she never admitted it. Jiwoo spent 18 hours in surgery, saving her team one piece at a time. By the end, she was covered in blood that was both human and alien. Park watched her work and felt something strange. Pride. These broken soldiers, these criminals and misfits had become something more. They had become a family. When Minho woke up, he looked at the metal arm that had replaced his real one. Can it do tricks? He asked. Jiwoo laughed. It can crush a Vorn skull with one squeeze. Minho grinned. Good enough. The war continued. The humans pushed harder. They trained more soldiers, ran more missions, created more chaos. The Vorn kept adapting, kept hunting, kept trying to understand these strange creatures that refused to fight properly. But understanding was not enough. The humans were winning, not the war. Not yet, but the battle for hope. The allied species were starting to believe they could survive, starting to think they could fight back, starting to act like hunters instead of prey. Park looked at a map of the galaxy. The Vorn had stopped advancing. For the first time in centuries, they were not gaining ground. It was not victory. But it was a start. How do we end this? Asked T-Lax one night. Park pointed at the Vorn home system. We get in there. We destroy the main hub. Everything else is just preparation. And how do we get in? Park smiled her dangerous smile again. Leave that to us. The most dangerous humans in the galaxy will find a way. She looked at her team, her family, her monsters. They had come so far. They had more to go. But Park had never been more certain of anything in her life. They would win, or they would die trying. For humans, there was no difference. The galaxy needed saving. The most dangerous humans arrived. Part 4. The long night. The sky turned red, not from fire, not from blood, from something worse. Captain Park stood on the bridge of the reckless Endeavor and watched as space itself began to break. Stars flickered and disappeared. Light bent in ways that made no sense. The fabric of reality was tearing apart. What is that? Whispered Minho. A weapon, said Jiwoo. Her voice was hollow. They have built a weapon that destroys space itself. The Vorn had changed their strategy. They could not beat the humans in small fights. They could not catch them in ambush. So they decided to trap them instead. The weapon spread like a disease. Wherever it touched, faster than light travel became impossible. Ships that tried to jump to safety were torn apart by the broken space. Within 3 days, a region containing 40 star systems was completely cut off from the rest of the galaxy. The Allied fleet was trapped inside. Supplies could not get in. Reinforcements could not arrive. Messages could barely escape. The fleet was alone, surrounded by Vorn, slowly starving. Morale collapsed. The Tolan withdrew their ships to protect their home world. The Gishari began negotiating surrender. The Rithani fought among themselves about who was to blame. The alliance that had held together through months of war fell apart in days. High Counselor T-Lax called an emergency meeting. His face was gray with despair. It is over, he said. We cannot fight without supplies. We cannot run without faster than light travel. The Vorn have won. Park stood up. No. The room turned to look at her. She was smaller than most of the aliens, weaker, softer. But when she spoke, they listened. The Vorn want us to give up. They want us to surrender. They built this weapon because they could not beat us any other way. That means we were winning. Were, said Admiral Vithras bitterly. Now we are dying. Then we die fighting. We die making them hurt. We die showing the rest of the galaxy that the Vorn can be challenged, can be wounded, can be afraid. Park's voice rose. We are not dead yet. And until we are dead, we keep fighting. The room was silent. Then Sujin stood up next to her captain. She said nothing. She just stood. Taeyeon stood up. Then Minho. Then Jiwoo. 5 humans standing against despair. One by one, the alien commanders rose to their feet. Not all of them, but enough. What do we do? Asked T-Lax. Park smiled grimly. We survive. We fight. We find a way to break that weapon. The weeks that followed were the hardest of Park's life. Supplies ran low. They ate half rations, then quarter rations. Taeyeon learned to build weapons from garbage. Minho kept communications, working with parts held together by hope and string. The Vorn pressed their advantage. They attacked constantly, grinding down the Allied fleet ship by ship. Every day brought new losses. Every night brought new funerals. But the humans held the line. When a hospital ship was stranded in Vorn territory, Park led a rescue mission herself. They flew through broken space and enemy fire to reach it. They saved 2,000 wounded soldiers and flew back through Worsted when food became desperate. Jiwoo figured out how to make nutrition paste from algae and recycled air. It tasted terrible. No one complained. When hope seemed lost, Taeyeon would tell jokes. Bad jokes. Terrible jokes. The kind of jokes that made people groan and throw things at him. But they laughed. And laughter was worth more than gold. The Allied soldiers began to change. They watched the humans refuse to give up, refuse to surrender, refuse to accept defeat. It was confusing at first. Then it was inspiring. They started fighting harder, smarter, more desperately. Then Sujin was captured. It happened during a raid on a Vorn supply depot. The mission went wrong. Enemies appeared from everywhere. The team had to run. Sujin stayed behind to hold the exit. She fought for 20 minutes against 100 enemies, letting her team escape. When her rifle ran empty, she used her fists. When her fist broke, she used her teeth. Then they took her. Park wanted to go after her immediately. Taein had to hold her back. "We do not know where they took her," he said. "We cannot help her if we die looking." Park knew he was right. She hated that he was right. The Vorn took Sujin to their mothership. They wanted to understand humans. They wanted to absorb her knowledge, her tactics, her memories. They connected her to their hive mind and tried to take everything. Sujin fought them. Her mind was not like the Vorn. It was not open and connected. It was a fortress. Walls within walls within walls. Every time they broke through one barrier, they found another behind it. For 72 hours, Sujin fought alone in her own head. She gave them nothing true. She fed them lies, wrong information, fake tactics. She let them think they were winning while she poisoned their knowledge. On the third day, the reckless Endeavor appeared above the mothership. "How did you find her?" asked Telex over the radio. "Minho tracked her heartbeat," Park said. "Do not ask how. The rescue was insane. 5 humans against a ship full of Vorn. They should have died 100 times. They did not." Park led from the front, cutting through enemies with a blade in each hand. Taeyeon blew holes in walls and floors, creating paths where none existed. Minho hacked Vorn systems and turned their own defenses against them. Jiwoo healed wounds mid-battle, keeping her team alive through impossible damage. They found Sujin hanging in a chamber of flesh and wire. She was unconscious. She was broken. But she was alive. "Missed you," Park whispered as she cut her down. Sujin opened one eye. "Slow," she said. "The escape was worse than the entry." The Vorn knew they were there now. Every warrior in the ship was hunting them. They reached the shuttle bay. Enemies blocked every path. The reckless Endeavor was waiting outside, but there was no way to reach it. "We need a distraction," said Taeyeon. He looked at the explosives on his belt. All of them. Every bomb he had left. "Taeyeon, no," said Park. "I will meet you outside," he said with a grin. "Trust me." He ran toward the largest group of Vorn, screaming and throwing bombs. The explosion was massive. It tore through the mothership like fire through paper. It killed hundreds of Vorn and destroyed half the ship. It also destroyed the reckless Endeavor. Park watched their ship die from the window of a stolen shuttle. Her home, her command, gone. But Taeyeon appeared beside her, burned and bleeding but alive. He had found another way out. Somehow. "Told you," he coughed. "Trust me." They were stranded on a dying world. Their ship was gone. Their supplies were gone. Half of them were wounded. Minho asked the question everyone was thinking. Was it worth it? Park looked at her team. Her family. Broken, but not beaten. Wounded, but not dead. "We are still alive," she said. "That means we have not lost yet." Jiwoo was treating the wounded when she made a discovery. She had been studying the Vorn weapon, the thing that broke space. She realized something important. "It is biological," she said. "Grown from a captured species." "The ethereals. The ethereals are real?" asked Minho. "I thought they were a myth." They were captured 10,000 years ago. The Vorn used them to power the weapon. But they are still alive inside it. Still aware. Still prisoners. Park understood immediately. If we free them, they can shut down the weapon. Yes, and open a path to the Vorn home system. Park looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, an ancient species was being tortured. Somewhere out there, the key to victory was waiting. She had a mission. She had a team. She had hope. It was enough. The galaxy needed saving. The most dangerous humans arrived, Part 5. The most dangerous humans. The plan was insane. Everyone said so. Attack the reality weapon directly. Not to destroy it, but to communicate with the creatures inside. Free the ethereals. Let them break the prison that held both them and the galaxy. This cannot work, said Admiral Vethris. The weapon is protected by 1,000 Vorn ships. You have one team. 5 humans. 4, corrected Park. Jiwoo will do the communication. The rest of us will keep her alive long enough to finish. You will die. Park shrugged. Probably. Then why? She looked at the old admiral with eyes that had seen too much death. Because someone has to. And we are the ones who can. They left at dawn. A small ship, borrowed from the Allied fleet. 4 humans and 1 mission. The rest of the fleet would create a distraction, drawing Vorn ships away from the weapon. It would cost lives. Many lives, but it was the only way. The battle began as they approached. Allied ships attacked the Vorn fleet from every direction. Explosions lit up the darkness. Ships died by the dozens. The small human ship slipped through the chaos like a needle through cloth. Minho flew while Taeyun shot down anything that got too close. Sujin manned the guns, her eyes still hollow from her capture, but her aim still perfect. Park watched Jiwoo prepare. The doctor had built a device that could translate thoughts into waves that the ethereals might understand. It was based on Vorn technology, stolen and modified. It had never been tested. Are you ready? Park asked. Jiwoo looked up. Her hands were shaking. No, but I will do it anyway. They reached the weapon. It was huge. Bigger than a moon. A twisted thing of flesh and metal and something else. Something that bent light and broke reality. Just looking at it hurt. My NHO found a way inside. A small opening, barely visible. They flew through and landed in a chamber of living darkness. Stay with the ship, Park told Minho. If we are not back in 1 hour. Leave. Captain, that is an order. She led Taeyun, Sujin, and Jiwoo deeper into the weapon. The interior was worse than the Vorn mothership. The wall screamed. The floor pulsed. Reality itself seemed wrong here, stretched and compressed at the same time. They found the ethereals at the heart of the weapon. They were beautiful. Even in chains, even in pain, they were beautiful. Beings of pure light, trapped in cages of Vorn flesh. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. Each one a battery, powering the device that imprisoned the galaxy. Jiwoo activated her device. The ethereals reacted immediately. Their light flickered. Their screams changed pitch. Something reached out toward Jiwoo's mind. I feel them, she whispered. They are so tired. So hurt. They have been here so long. Can you help them? Asked Park. Jiwoo closed her eyes. Sweat ran down her face. Blood dripped from her nose. The strain of connection was tearing her apart. I am trying. They do not understand freedom anymore. They have forgotten hope. Park grabbed Jiwoo's hand. Then remind them. Jiwoo pushed harder. She showed the ethereals her memories. Her team, her fights, her losses, her refusal to give up. She showed them what hope looked like. The Vorn arrived then. They poured into the chamber like a flood. Hundreds of warriors, all screaming, all hungry. Keep her safe. Park shouted. Taehyun and Sujin formed a wall in front of Jiwoo. They fired until their weapons were empty, then fought with knives, then fought with fists. Park fought beside them, her blades singing through flesh and metal. It was not enough. There were too many. A Vorn blade caught Taehyun in the chest. He fell. Go, he said, blood bubbling on his lips. Finish it. He pulled the last grenade from his belt. He smiled. The explosion took 50 Vorn with him. Park screamed. She had lost soldiers before. But Taehyun was different. Taehyun was family. She fought harder. Sujin fought harder. But they were being pushed back, step by step. Then the light changed. The ethereals were waking up. One by one, they began to glow brighter. Their chains cracked. Their cages broke. 10,000 years of imprisonment ended in a single moment of rebellion. The weapon began to collapse. Reality snapped back into place. Space healed. The prison that had trapped the galaxy for months dissolved in seconds. And through the opening poured every allied ship in the fleet. The second Endeavor, they called the new flagship, built from the wreckage of fallen vessels. Carrying the hope of 100 species, the battle for the Vorn homeworld had begun. Park grabbed Jiwoo, who had collapsed from the strain. Sujin covered their retreat. They ran through collapsing corridors as the weapon died around them. Minho was waiting at the ship. Where is Taehyun? He asked. No one answered. They flew toward the Vorn homeworld as the battle raged around them. Thousands of ships fighting. Millions of warriors clashing. The largest war in galactic history. Park did not watch. She focused on what was ahead. The surface of the Vorn homeworld was a nightmare. Organic factories that grew new warriors. Landscapes of living tissue. Air that was more poison than oxygen. But at the center was the main neural hub. The brain that controlled all Vorn everywhere. The heart of the collective. 4 humans landed on the surface. Park looked at her team. Minho, young and scared but still fighting. Sujin, wounded and silent as always. Jiwoo, barely conscious but refusing to stay behind. This is it, Park said. We get to that hub. We destroy it. We end this. They fought through hell. The Vorn threw everything at them. Warriors, beasts, living weapons. Things that had no name. Minho fell first. A creature grabbed his leg and would not let go. He told the others to keep going. The last they saw, he was fighting with his metal arm, punching and screaming. Sujin fell next. She took a wound that would have killed anyone else instantly. She kept fighting for 10 more minutes, protecting Jiwoo, before her body finally gave out. Win, she said as she fell. For all of us. Park and Jiwoo reached the hub alone. It was massive. A brain the size of a mountain, pulsing with the thoughts of billions of Vorn. It spoke to them, not in words, but in feelings. It offered them peace, unity, immortality. Join us, it said. Become part of something greater. Park looked at the creature that had destroyed worlds, that had consumed billions, that had killed her friends. We did not come to negotiate. She planted the explosives. Jiwoo set the timer. The hub screamed. The entire planet shook. Vorn warriors poured toward them from every direction. We need to run, said Jiwoo. Park knew they would not make it. The explosion would be too big, too fast. They were at the center of the enemy world with no way out. She looked at Jiwoo and smiled. Thank you. For everything. Jiwoo understood. It was an honor, Captain. They stood together as the countdown finished. The explosion was visible from orbit. The neural hub died. And across the galaxy, the Vorn collective collapsed. Warriors became mindless animals. Ships stopped moving. The hive mind that had terrorized the universe for 10,000 years went silent forever. The war was over. On Station Prime, the Galactic Council gathered for a ceremony. They wanted to honor the heroes who had saved them. Only 3 humans stood on the platform. Dr. Ji Wuhan had survived. She had been thrown clear by the explosion, found by Allied soldiers in the rubble. Her body would never fully heal. She did not care. Private Minho Kang had survived. He had fought his way to safety, losing his other arm in the process. He joked that now he had matching metal ones. Warrant Officer Sujin Choi had survived. Barely. She would spend months recovering. She still did not talk much. Some things never changed. Captain Yuna Park and Sergeant Taeyam Lee had died on the Vorn homeworld. They died together, holding the line, giving the galaxy a chance. High Counselor Tlax offered humanity everything: wealth, territory, power, the greatest reward in galactic history. Jiwoo declined. "We did not do this for reward," she said. "We did it because it needed to be done. That is what humans do." The quarantine ended that day. Humanity took its place among the stars. Not as conquerors. Not as rulers, as protectors. The galaxy learned a new truth about the strange creatures from the death world called Earth. Humans were not dangerous because of their weapons. Not because of their strength. Not because of their technology. They were dangerous because they cared. They would fight for strangers. Die for people they had never met. Sacrifice everything for a chance at tomorrow. And there was nothing more terrifying in the universe than a human who had found something worth dying for. In a small memorial on Station Prime, 5 names were carved into crystal: Yuna Park, Taeyeon Lee, Ji Wo Han, Minho Kang, Sujin Choi. Below the names, a single sentence: they came when called. They fought when needed. They won. The galaxy would remember. The most dangerous humans had saved them all. The end.